Welcome to Vermont Sun and Shade. I'm going to be changing the name of the channel because I want to be able to include more information um, on the channel and about mostly about New England states, but nationally or world, whatever we may want to add to this. So there's a number of articles this morning. The first two I'm going to start with are on the bears. So and then I'm going to add another video after this one, so we're not going to have these really long, but I want to be able to share this with you. So we did a little clip on this not too long ago about when the bears come out in Vermont. But we have another article that just came out 2 days ago, and it was sent to my email, and it's when do bears come out of hibernation in Vermont and what you need to know. So right now, guys, right now is the time. Like, you could see a bear today because you see me not wearing a sweater, not wearing long sleeves. It's going to be 70 degrees. It's already up in the 60s. For me, that's like a really warm, and for a lot of people, for sure, in Vermont, that's very warm, and the sun is shining. So the bears, we have black bears in Vermont. So the article starts like this. The Vermont black bears are waking up. It says earlier than ever. So I'm not so sure about that. We're in mid-April, and this is about the time they would be waking up. So in my opinion, from what I know, so I don't know why they're saying earlier than ever, but in 2026, wildlife officials are already receiving reports of bears being active in the state, in mid-March. So, okay, that is really early. Because April would be the time. So has anybody seen a bear out there in Vermont? Have you seen any bears yet, guys? I haven't seen any yet. If you live, hike or spend time outdoors in the Green Mountain State, understanding when bears emerge from their dens and what drives that timing can make a real difference in how safely you coexist with them. And let me also add to that, the areas like we have up the street here, an abandoned homeless encampment. There's tarps. I think there's garbage over there. I was surprised to see that by the cemetery. It's in the video that I just did on the cemetery. So I accidentally stumbled over it. It's huge though. Areas like that, you're apt to see a bear. In this guide, you will learn when Vermont bears enter and exit the dens, and which species call the state home, what bears do right after emerging, and where they're commonly spotted. So that's what we're really interested in this morning. This goes into when do they hibernate, and I'm just going to very highlight it, guys, because it's basically in November when they start to hibernate into December, depending how warm or cold it is. So I'm just going to kind of skip that because we're really interested in them coming out. So when do the bears come out of the hibernation? So between mid-March and mid-April. However, the window has been shifting. The time of year that bears emerge from their dens has crept earlier and earlier in the past decades, likely driven by the changing, of course, in the climate. And that has made Vermont winters shorter and less severe. So this was just written 2 days ago. And this winter here in Vermont has been severe. This has been a severe winter like we had 30, 35 years ago. Absolutely. This has been a cold winter. However, they're saying the bears started to come out in mid-March. So the weather got milder quicker, I think is what she's saying. Hi, Salanted and the one kid. Hi, guys. How are you? Good morning. Happy Saturday morning. So bears are relatively light sleepers who go into hibernation only once the landscape is rendered barren of food sources. Throughout the winter, they will occasionally rouse and step out of the den to assess what's going on outside. So, in a year like this, when it's been mild, it hasn't been mild. There's no way this was a mild winter. We had sub-zero weather for 6 weeks straight here in Vermont. So I'm not sure what she's talking about there. I really have to disagree with, let's see what her name is, the author of The Animal of Things in Vermont here. I don't know who wrote this. But anyway, so it's good to know that they're light sleepers and they step out of their den, okay? Um, so in March 2026, Vermont wildlife officials were already receiving reports that bears were emerging from hibernation. And if you're curious about the emergent timing in your state, you can look it up, it says, basically. Okay. Which bear species are found in Vermont? So do you guys know? Is anybody from Vermont out there? It's the black bear. That's our bear. The black bear is the smallest of three bear species found in North America, and it's the only bear found in Vermont so far. I anticipate we're going to get some of the Kodiak down here. I'm telling you, I do, because the weather is shifting. I just feel like they're going to start looking for food more past their boundaries. The Kodiak is a type of grizzly, guys, up in Alaska. Anyway, it says here, you won't encounter grizzly bears or polar bears here. So, like I said, I do believe that trend is changing also. And we'll go into some information on polar bears later. They're really looking for food, guys. They're really struggling, some of them, for looking for food. So, but the black bear is Vermont's sole resident, and it's thriving. The state bear population has grown here in Vermont from 4,000 to 6,000 bears between 2018, between 6,500 and 8,000 bears in 2024, according to the population estimates by the state. The latest count is nearly double the objective of 3,500 to 5,500 bears. That's what the state feels is adequate for the bears to coexist with humans, and we're up to 8,000 bears. Chances of you seeing a bear are high. But if anybody has been to New Hampshire, those bears, they're seriously so visual. I've never seen it. It's like you could put a collar around them and walk them around like a dog. There's so many over there. But we'll get in. There's another article on them, and I'm curious to see what that says. But the black bears are a member of the carnivora, which also includes dogs, cats, weasels, and raccoons. Despite this classification, they are overwhelmingly omnivorous in practice. Bears omnivorous in their diets vary seasonally, consisting mostly of plant material, but also include small mammals, carrion, and garbage. This is why they are increasing, in my opinion. We have over 4,500 homeless people in the state of Vermont, and so many people leaving the state of Vermont. What happens? Garbage accumulates in both of these situations, and that's where the bears come in. And when there's garbage, there's also varmints. And I don't mean little chipmunks. I mean the bigger varmints, you know, the mice and the rats. They will come along with garbage, guys. Vermont black bears are relatively shy animals and seldom seen by people. This is an important factor influencing bear distribution. Vermont bears prefer wild areas with fewer people. So the best habitat for black bears in Vermont is a mixture of trees, hardwood, wetlands, and variations in terrain. But like I said, when you have an abandoned house or you have an encampment that's abandoned and you have leftover foods and garbage, that's where the mother bear is going to bring her baby bear. And okay, so we have lots and lots of bears in Vermont. So what bears do immediately, what bears do? What do bears do after hibernation, like immediately after hibernation? The few weeks, which we're right into right now, the few weeks after a bear leaves its den is defined by one overriding priority: food. And after months without eating, drinking, or moving significantly, their bodies are running on depleted reserves and they need calories fast. So typically you'd see them at the rivers also, guys. But the rivers were still frozen in mid-March. As bears emerge from their dens in early spring, they're on search for the food, and they can lead them to backyard beehives, bird feeders, compost piles, and even chicken coops. And I would prioritize and say they're going to head for the chicken coops first because they smell the farms and they know the farms. They can smell and pick up the scent and know the person living in the house that they walk by, typically maybe a mile up in the woods. They know you, is what I'm saying. And they could enter a house in a heartbeat if they wanted to. But like the article says, they prefer to stay away from people. So some bears are finding the remains of abundant beech nut crop, one of their preferred delicacies. Others are checking out backyards. The bears that find food in the residential areas quickly return. As I said, they get to know you. And bears have very good memories and live rather long. They live into their 20s and 30s. And this says it's a rare occasion 30s, but no, bears can live into the 40s and 50s, as I understand it. Or they used to. They are very good at remembering where the food sources are, so they'll head back that way. Okay, so if you have your bird feeder out, that's why they say they may head straight for the bird feeder. And that's why they say pull them in. You know, I think a good idea what to do with bird feeders is, just because I love to feed birds, is just put in a certain amount for the birds for their morning take, and that's it, and the birds will empty out the bird feeder. When bears get food from human sources, they will keep going back. In other words, if you're in the habit of like putting your garbage outside your door, they'll eventually figure that out and they will be there going through the garbage. Bear activity hotspots in Vermont. So where might you see bears in Vermont? So black bears are not evenly distributed across the landscape. Knowing where tends to concentrate. Okay, so I'm not sure who wrote this article, but knowing where activity tends to concentrate helps you stay alert. So can I tell you, the rivers, you know, any of the waterways, you're more apt to spot a bear, guys. And yes, could it be near a trail? Absolutely, it could be near a trail. They don't want to be on the trail, but they could be near a trail. Bears live everywhere in the state, besides Champlain Islands, according to the Vermont Fish and Wildlife. Yeah, so I don't know, this isn't really answering the question they posed. Let's read a little bit more and see if they give us a little bit more. Because yes, there are bears all through Vermont. So if you're scrolling and you have seen a bear, let us know, share with us. The estimated black bears living in Vermont are concentrated in the spine of the Green Mountains, and their habitat overlaps the long trail and other trail systems, just as I was saying, near any of the hiking trails. If you're hiking in this quarter, especially during spring, emergence of the fall hyperphagia, bear encounters become more likely. In 2021 hiking season, there were reports of bears assessing or attempting to access hiker food. Guys, this is a given. If you are going even on a day hike and you're only hiking 3 miles in and you want to do a little camp and do your little marshmallows and hot dogs, especially right now and really through the summer, guys, you could see a bear approach. It's an absolutely given. So they may access the hikers' food shelters and or come right out in the open. You just may see them. Stowe has been a hot spot for bear activity in recent years. So it's funny they say Stowe because that's a touristy area. But you are more likely, in my opinion, to see a bear at any part of Vermont if you're near a river or on a hiking trail. So I kind of disagree with that right there, what they're saying, because Stowe is an area that doesn't have garbage sitting out, and they don't have the homeless encampments along their walking trails. It's just not, in my opinion, a place that you're going to see the bears. So I'm not sure who wrote the article again, but there's been, this is, it says, frequented human areas have also been on the rise in Middlebury, East Montpelier, Lyndonville, Waterbury, Duxbury, Bolton, Killington, Richmond, Addison. Okay, can I just add to that? I don't know why they're not saying Cambridge, Jericho, Essex, Jeffersonville, Wolcott. If you're on the river in Wolcott, these are not, the towns they listed are a little bit more high end. You're more apt to see a bear more down in the country part, and Morrisville, okay, Hardwick, okay, you're gonna see even Montpelier, you're gonna see anywhere along the rivers, you're gonna see these bears. So again, this article is a little helpful. I expected a little bit more. Someone maybe who has experienced Vermont to have written this, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Waterbury, Richmond, anywhere along the Long Trail. Okay, so that is that article. I think this article was kind of pieced together by maybe other articles, but it was by Animal of Things. That's what it's called. Animal of Things, if you want to read it. And labeled Vermont. So, okay, let's get out of that article. Another article I want to cover with you is but about the New Hampshire bears. And let me just get out of here. If is anybody out there familiar with the White Mountains? They're incredibly, in my opinion, just so much more vast and huge than, like, when you drive through Vermont. Yes, you see the mountains in the horizon. When you drive through New Hampshire, these White Mountains are right in the right in front of you. So, like, seriously. Okay, this is by Barry Richard, New Hampshire. On newsbreak.com, it's called White Mountains Overnight Campers Must Now Carry Bear Spray. They should have always been carrying bear spray because there's bears been all over the place in New Hampshire for like ever. But this is saying they now have to carry the bear spray. New food storage requirements and will take effect for all year round camping. These new bear safety rules, guys, if you're in New Hampshire, anybody from New Hampshire here, just say hi. We're a teeny tiny channel, but I'm looking for you. If you're from New Hampshire, you're from Vermont, wherever you're from, jump on board. Guys, we're going to be adding more clips on here that cover more areas, not just Vermont. I love, love, love Vermont, and I'm in Vermont, but I feel like this channel is serving a little bit more of a purpose for some people as I'm understanding it, to get information about other areas. So not just Vermont. Thank you for being here, guys. Happy Saturday morning. The finches are saying hello. I'm Mashuki. And okay, so this is the new rules going on in New Hampshire regarding bears. All overnight visitors in the Pemi wilderness will be required to store their food, trash, and scented items such as soap, lip balm, and toothpaste, and refuse in a refuse. I don't know what that means in this sentence. In a cylindrical, hard-sided, non-pliable IGBC International Grizzly Bear Committee certified, holy moly, guys, bear-resistant canister. What is going on in New Hampshire? Let's check it out. According to the WMNF, that's the White Mountain something there, National Forest, I guess. Let's read it. Bear incidents in Pemigewasset, that's how you say it, Pemigewasset wilderness area have risen sharply in recent years, largely due to improperly stored food. That was the same on Lake Winnipesaukee, where my father grew up. They had not contained garbage well there at that time, and then they cleaned up the whole reservation area and turned it into a resort. The new rules seek to reduce the number of human-bear interactions by making it more difficult for the bears to find the food. The increase in encounters comes as the wilderness area has grown in popularity. What campers are now required to do. White Mountain National Forest offers a free canister loan program. That's good. At several locations identified in the new policy. So you can use these bear-resistant food boxes to put your food in. Bear repellent spray can be purchased. You know what? I want to take a gander here. I want to look up something else. I just want to see, guys, if because it's the bear incidents in New Hampshire. We'll just say New Hampshire because they're saying there's been a huge increase in the White Mountain area in New Hampshire. Oh my God, listen to this. We'll go back to the article, but I want to read this to you. Bear incidence in New Hampshire, guys, has risen sharply in 2025 to 2026. Particularly, this is AI. This is an AI guys summary. In Pemigewasset, which we were just reading in the article, wilderness in the White Mountains due to food condition, black bears damaging tents and stalking campers. So in New Hampshire, they don't have the black bear, they have the brown bear. So that's one. Okay, we'll see what the article also says here, but look. White Mountain, Pemi Wilderness. The black bear caused temporary closure of the Franconia Brook tent site in August 2025 after destroying tents. The aggressive behavior of the bear, reports indicate the bears have been bluff charging. Do you know how scary that is, guys? And stealing backpacks in the Owl's Head, Liberty Springs, and Bond Cliff Trail areas. How smart is that? Seriously? Residential areas, the large bear was caught on camera attempting to enter a home in Laconia for the second time in a few years. Yeah, they can enter a home if they want to. They're very smart. New rules. Okay, now let's get out of there. So that's what's going on. Why are they referencing the black bear? So the black bear population is growing rapidly in New England, particularly in Massachusetts, where bears are moving eastward into the populations in search of food. The other reason is, guys, they are building too many buildings. Finney Crossing up in Williston, I use this as an example repeatedly. They took so much of that land. That's where the great blue heron, I saw it in real time. I saw the cranes come down and look, and no pun intended, looking at the mechanical cranes that were digging into the dirt. I actually saw the great blue heron lose their habitat in real time. Greed. Because all of that area belonged to farmers, and they made it so difficult tax-wise and everything for the multi-generational Vermonter to hold on to their land that they inherited and their family worked hard for. They made it so difficult that they had to give up and sell out. And then these people bought it and they built all these stores. My thing is, use the areas where the houses have been abandoned and are sitting. Buy up an area of those that are already built and constructed and reconstruct. But to keep buying the wilderness and the woodlands, it's not right, guys. And they're wondering why the bears are now going into residential and camper areas. So that's what that article is. Now I have another article, but let me see. We've been on here half an hour, so I'm going to cut this, leave it a half an hour. I'm going to jump back on here. Hi, Little Bug Brant. How are you? I'm going to jump back on here, and with an article I seriously want to share. I don't know who's out there in my audience. Get your family and friends for this next one, because this is about a house coming down that was a Civil War artist's home. And we're going to cover that article. I'll see you in the next one in a few minutes.